Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And today's Doctor Who review is a Tom Baker story, The Eternal War. So, without further ado, let's get right into the story. Tom Baker's Doctor is taking Romana on a trip in order to go and see a great pencil museum. But Romana isn't too pleased with this, and so she's a bit reliant on where they're going. The Doctor and Romana land on a desolate planet in which they find a bunch of Sontarns are having a war. But it's not a normal skirmish for the Sontarns, as they don't seem to be fighting any Rootans. Instead, they seem to be fighting Sontarans and human beings. But these Sontarans aren't like any other Sontarans. They seem very zombified, and it turns out they are. They're Sontarans who have died in the field of battle and have come back to haunt their brothers. But their brothers are confused why this is happening, and soon they learn that a human race from a very distant planet has had a computer that has pretty much messed up its algorithm and caused these Sontarans and any of the dead on the planet to be reanimated. The Doctor and Romana keep running back and forth on the skirmish, and Romana finds herself being a little bit of a nurse to one of the Sontarans, trying to save his life in order that he doesn't become one of the zombie Sontarans. As is pointed out in this story, the Sontarans coming back to life and being reanimated is pretty much a dishonor for them. It's not exactly the ideal way to go, and it's the sort of thing that is frowned upon on Sontar as an abomination. A Sontaran superior decides to kamikaze the whole battlefield in order to make sure that no more resurrections can happen. Meanwhile, the Doctor and his friend Sontaran go off to the human colony and discover the computer that's behind the problem all along. He pretty much points out to the computer that it's got its logic wrong, and although it's using its systems to teach its students that war is wrong, it's affecting and reanimating people without them consciously knowing about it. In other words, it's kind of taking advantage of them in a way. And the Doctor points out how wrong this is. The computer can't fully comprehend its error, so the only way for the Doctor to stop the computer is to tell it to shut down. The computer eventually shuts down, but Ston, one of the Sontaran leaders, destroys himself on the battlefield and goes absolutely ballistic. After his kamikaze, the Doctor and his Sontaran friend reunite with Romana, and just as it seems that they may be captured for the honour of Sontar, he turns his back and lets the Doctor hit him in the probic vent, after the Doctor points out that the lone left Sontaran could help a bunch of frightened humans to be able to repopulate the world and move forward in a battlefield which they don't quite know. So what did I think of the Eternal War? Well, Tom Baker, as always, was absolutely hilarious in this. I just love how he pretty much spends half the story talking about pencils and this pencil museum. He even ends the story pointing out to Romana that one of his best friends is a soldier and name-dropping Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart, and asks whether or not the Brigadier has also been to a pencil museum. I really like that Romana shines in this story as well. It kind of reminds me of Destiny of the Daleks and just any story really that Lalla Ward has been in. She really has this kind of Doctor presence to herself where she can go to any location, any time period, and she really immerses herself in the story and pretty much solidifies this idea of, right, what would the Doctor do? How would I handle this situation? She even has kind of a moment in this story where at first you start to wonder whether she's going to have a breakdown, but she just kind of pulls together and like pulls through. Um, she's constantly arguing with K9, which I've always found such a great comedy since I watched the Tom Baker stories years ago with Lalla Ward in it. I just love this idea that she's constantly having to argue with this robot dog about logic and catchphrases and turn of phrase. And for that reason, I give The Eternal War a solid 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next Doctor Who review. Until then, goodbye, you beautiful, gorgeous, fabulous Whovians.